In my last video, we made these 3 cicada prints. At the end, I left with some advice that I think was kind of unhelpful. I said, now you just have to live with it for a little while. I thought I'd make another video describing that process because living with your art is not as easy as it sounds. An artist is constantly doubting himself, comparing himself to other people. There's just a lot of uncertainty around whether what you're creating is good or if it's garbage. And nobody really talks to you about that. They don't teach you that in school. So how do you live with your prints? How do you evaluate whether it's good or not? I'm gonna show you a few different ways, but just to get started, it helps to compare. So the fact that we made these 3 at the same time, that wasn't an accident. You always wanna have something that you can shift to if it's not working. I've got 3 here. Which one do I like better than the others? It's a process of elimination. The one that I want to think about today is this guy in the middle. This is the one that we worked the hardest on in that last video. One thing to do is just keep your art in a place where you can see it regularly. Put it on your table or pin it to a board somewhere where throughout the day you'll naturally come across it. The reason you do that is so that you can see things with new eyes. It sort of surprises you. If I just sat here and stared at this for a while, my thoughts would trip me up. But if you can look at it unexpectedly, all that judgment and internal voices get shut off and you just have more of an instinctual response to something. You spent so much time creating it that it's hard to look at it with fresh eyes. So there's different ways you can do it. An easy one is simply to squint at things. You probably saw me squinting when I was creating this. Squinting blurs the details so you can see kind of the overall composition better. Most artists you'll find if you watch them working will be squinting as they're doing it. Another simple way, look at it in a mirror. A reflection lets you see it in a way that you can't. One thing that you might want to avoid, it's risky to have all your artwork sitting out in the open where anybody can walk by and comment. I found that even simple compliments can mess with your head. Most people aren't going to have the experience and knowledge that you have as an artist. A casual comment from somebody that doesn't have experience with art, if they're looking at 10 of your prints and they say, oh, I like that one, it's going to be really hard for you not to favor that one in your analysis. Just be careful who you invite into your studio because you know those comments will influence you one way or the other. The exception is if you've got somebody whose opinion you hold really strongly and you're really looking for critical feedback. I think it's really important for you to have your own sense of what's good and bad in your work and come to that conclusion on your own. If you just went by the opinions of people that gave you thumbs up or thumbs down, it would push your art in a way that would make it more generic, easier to digest, less original. And that's not what you want your art to be. You want it to be a great reflection of your own skills and judgment. Otherwise, why are you creating this artwork in the first place? Self-expression is the goal. So be careful who you let into your studio because it could really mess with your head. You can see that I've got work in progress happening in multiple places. I'm gonna take this one. Now I can look at it in the context of 25 other cicada prints. And it helps to just see it from a wider point of view. Helps me evaluate. They're all different, but some are clearly better than others. And I might get to a point where I've created something that's so different from my series that I have no point of reference to whether it's good or bad or just new and different. And when that happens, I've got a wall here where I put things that I need to live with for longer. Right, so I could just set it up there and leave it undecided. I'll show you some of the things that have fallen in that category. Another one of my giant dollar bill experiments. Sometimes there's something about just scraps of paper that you can't throw it away, but there's something there that is worth exploring further. Thermal paper experiment. Collage. Some of these things might turn into something down the road, but I have to live with them for a little while before I know. So we've done a couple things. We've compared side by side to work that we're working on actively. We've looked at it in the context of a wide range of work that's in progress. Eventually you get to a point where you feel like this is standing on its own, and that's when it's time to compare it to finished work that you're the most happy with. So I've got a few prints over here. These are ones that are done that I'm really happy with, that represent what I would say some of my stronger pieces. This is where the question gets really tough. Is it my best work? Is it ready to be framed, or does it go back into the pile of uncertainty? And it's a hard question sometimes. I want this to be obvious. I want this to be, yes, that's my best work. And if it's not, it tends to just sit in a pile waiting for me to rework it. So once you get to the point where you feel like it's done, you're probably going to frame it. For me, with this cicada print, the last step is to apply it to a card. That's the point where I don't touch it anymore. It's done. So what that looks like is I peel off the label, align it, and now I have a finished work. There's one step beyond that I want to show you. I've compared it to work in progress, I've compared it to finished work, and now the ultimate step is to compare it to the work of people that I greatly respect and admire. My heroes are Robert Rauschenberg and MC Escher. So I've got a couple books here. This one's Robert Rauschenberg Silkscreen Paintings 1962 to 1964. And then I've got a MC Escher book. This is really tough. It's putting your work next to your heroes and seeing how you stack up. I'll just show you a little bit of Robert Rauschenberg's work. Maybe you can see some of my inspiration. You can do this online too, of course. You know, compare your work side by side with masterpieces, but I find that a book it's just more physical. And this can be a disheartening thing, right? Because you're looking at the best of the best. And inevitably you're gonna look at your work and say, boy, I'm not there yet. The important thing is to use that as inspiration rather than discouragement. Like, challenge yourself to get to the level of the masters. There's Robert Rauschenberg. Let's look at MC Escher. In some ways, MC Escher is almost the opposite of Robert Rauschenberg. Rauschenberg was loose and rough, and chance, randomness had so much to do with it. MC Escher was precise and mathematical. It may seem weird to compare something so different, a lithograph print, to my thermal labels, but I think you see some of the similarities. I mean, especially here, I don't even remember seeing this dragonfly print before. I grabbed a couple of my dragonflies to compare. Interesting. So that could be an inspiring way to challenge yourself to up your game and strive to be a better version of yourself. If you like this print, message me. Send me a DM, reach out to me, leave a comment, sign up for my newsletter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.